If your work is tiring or demanding in a chronic, exhausting way, one of the best things on this app is getting to see stories of women, black women, and just undervalued workers in general opting out. What do you do when you want to quit being overworked or you want to retire from the magical Negro forces and you just can't eat your children out of the house or just walk away from your job? How do you change your mind when you can't change your work? And I'm not talking about thinking your way, happy thoughts out of a stressful circumstance or oppressive situations. That doesn't work. No, we're talking about thinking about the little ways you can begin to push back and reclaim some of your time. We're talking about becoming aware of your situation and how it's burning you out. You can't fight back if you don't understand that you're in a time battle in the first place. I was in my hometown once, just out on the town. This guy sits down next to me, very young, and he starts complaining and bragging about how if people just took more business risks, they took more money risks, they'd be as successful as him and his family. So now he's bragging about like the startup he's investing in, and he's starting with his friends and how they're just out doing all these risks that nobody else is brave enough to do. And so then I ask him, well, where are you staying while you're here in our hometown? He doesn't miss a beat. He goes, oh, my grandparents' extra beach residence. Oh, this whole thing makes a heck of a lot more sense now. I think I've already told you that story, but the lesson remains the same. There are certain acts of risk and defiance and chance you can take against this economy and this capitalist society when you have a large pool of other people's money to draw from. Now, access to that pool has been severely cut off through legislation over the years if you're a woman or you're a person of color. We're looking for a story about what it's like to build completely without that family context, without any social help whatsoever. I would defer to Rachel Rogers. Incredible story. Fantastic teacher and speaker. She doesn't know I exist. I just find her financial advice and the products that she offers to be really amazing because they include that, not only include, they center this historical analysis of what it is to be black, what it is to be female in this country, and what it means to make a lot of money or to survive. One thing I love about Rachel Rogers' example is that advice for women or black people or just anybody who is not the standard that this country was created for, that advice is going to look different for you, and you have to be aware of that. It's also going to take a lot more than this one video can offer you, so we're just going to start with one thing. That's disconnecting from the mental narrative that we've all been given and the way it disguises access point to resources that other people are definitely taking advantage of. What do I mean by mental narrative? Well, let's get to your first piece of homework. To quit the magical Negro society and the forces, you need to actually take a minute, a couple minutes, to get real quiet about just exactly how many hours your job description and your job requires of you and what that looks like across the week. You're going to start looking at time when you should not be working, but you are working. You're going to start looking at tasks that are not part of your job description, but that you've picked up by being quietly promoted. I'm not saying be lazy. I don't think it's a problem for anybody here. I'm saying we're going to look at where you're being taken advantage of. And outside of like what your actual work commitments are, you're going to see where you can safely drop the ball. This will come from looking at that time of all the work that you're doing and all the extra stuff you're doing. And it's like, oh, I don't need to berate myself for not piling on extra things or for the fact that I'm no longer going to be doing this, because look at how much time I'm actually spending here. If you have to, you have to, because kids just don't disappear and there are people get sick and all that kind of thing. But that's when you're going to say, look at how much I'm doing. I'm not going to berate myself anymore. When I was fostering, those kids didn't go anywhere. That was a 24/7 thing. If you go to sleep and somebody wakes up screaming in the middle of the night, you're up and at them. You're down there comforting people. Mom gave me great advice because she told me, look, you're going to have to get real realistic about what time off looks for you or what it even looks like to have a little rest, because nobody's going anywhere. Once you can accept, okay, this is this is the reality. This is the situation. This is how much work I have to do. Nothing's changing at this current season. You can start to think of two things. You're actually going to stop doing two things, sorry. And the first is beating yourself up for not living up to some slick work-life balance that you're going to see all over the place and online as the proliferation of homemaking videos and work videos just abound. A lot of these are fantasies that are designed to sell us the idea that if we buy more things, or we buy more accessories or tools, we will get more work done. It's a product of us not consuming enough or buying enough or being enough as to why we cannot produce more. I'm here to tell you that is a relic of Victorian age marketing and a holdover from the Industrial Revolution in America. We went from communities and whole groups of people, families, servants, enslaved people, all these different configurations, but there were many, of groups of people getting a certain amount of work done. Industrial revolution rolls in and things start splintering and changing. A single family unit doing everything and managing everything is a relatively new concept. For people who couldn't be homemakers, like Black women or people who were enslaved, this promise of getting to finally have access to buy these things, to have their own home, to have some agency, it's very promising, but it's also a trap. Also currently being sold the idea that there is a type of living that is actually accessible to everyone, and that if we all work hard enough, we can get it. This is normal. But what this does, it flattens the complex reality that there is a resource scarcity and there is a time scarcity. Whose time is expendable, whose time is respected, is all a part of a mass socialization that none of you can escape from, that affects why some people have some things and why other people don't. Understanding just how much time your current work or your kids actually take and what that looks like on the calendar, you can start to get really protective of the time you have to protect. This is not a one size fits all answer, but it could look a little bit like this. If you have to travel for work for any reason, or if you're even just going from one end of the building to another, do not use that time, if you can if you can help it, do not use that time thinking of more work or stressing yourself out. You are on a snack break or a lunch break. Take that time. Do not keep discussing work. Do not look at your computer. Again, if you can help it, I understand some of you are in different circumstances, but if you can, take it. If you leave the office, and again, if you can, leave the office. Do not offer to go back. Do not be checking your phone all the time. Mayo Clinic and tons of other psychologists will tell you when you say you're taking a break, you actually have to take a break for the benefits to kick in for your brain and your body to just de-stress. If you had kids like I did, you have to get real strict about bedtime and quiet time. They're not going to die if you give them some screen time or put on a movie and then you put headphones on and you go sit and think for 2 hours. There's going to be a little voice inside your head that says you don't have time to take a 5-minute or a 10-minute walk. You don't have time to close your eyes on the couch for 15 minutes. And you don't have time to just read a magazine for a little bit. That voice is a lie. There is more than enough time, in a sense. If you do not do this, you will not have the mental space to, or the capacity to think about the ways you need support or the ways you need to stop. Start firing yourselves from other tasks. Don't volunteer to bring the cake. If someone says, oh, who wants the last donut? Take it. Don't volunteer to get the mail if your roommate said that they would do it. Do not be the one always planning the office parties. If someone says, oh, would it be better to reschedule this for you? Reschedule. Prepare yourself to do the job of being aware of your own time and energy because other people will not do it. We have been socialized as Black women and women to simply get by. We are the pack mules. We are the people who are strong and hardy and can take anything. We are the survivors to these people. No one is going to automatically see you and lighten your load. Is going to be you plotting and planning and realizing with all the extra work and all the running around you do, no one actually plans on rewarding it because Black people and women are just supposed to naturally be givers like that. It all starts with awareness, tracking to see the ways people ask you to do stuff that's not your job, tracking to see the way they wait for you to save the day and fill the gap, and saying to yourself, okay, this is what's happening. Here are ways I can safely, without losing my job or endangering my position, give myself some more time. This is how you start to quit, and this is how you say, look, guys, I'm not the sidekick anymore. If you want to learn more about the science behind this and the way it's politically revolutionary, you should look into Dr. Emily Nagoski's book, Burnout, and you should also look at Rachel Rogers' book, We Should All Be Millionaires. It's also a great little memoir, in a sense, for her, because her story is I like this woman a lot. And some of you don't know, my podcast, The Process with Alex Baytall, is out on Spotify now. See you tomorrow, and please tell me how you're quitting.